Hey guys.
Hey,
What's up, buddy?
Hey, sorry I'm running a couple minutes late. I was interviewing a sales rep for one of my clients. And you know what interviewing is like, that's always so much fun.
Oh yeah. Did they get the job or the jury's still out?
Well, we're still early. It was more of a screening interview. I think I'm going to recommend he move on to the next step. He was a little low energy for a sales guy. I was like, dude, show me your personality a little bit, right? And I don't know, we'll see.
Okay, so then why are you looking for someone with a lot of energy or?
No, I don't think you have to be this like outgoing, gregarious, big personality to sell. Sometimes actually that puts people off.
Okay.
But I wanted to see his personality come out. You know, he was very sort of flat, and you got to be engaging, all right, in your own style in a sales role. You got to connect, and I didn't see a lot of that. Maybe he was nervous. I don't know. Sometimes you don't get the best in people during an interview because they're nerves. Yeah, but we interview every day in sales, right? Every time you talk to a prospect. So there was a little of that. So we'll see. The CEO my client interviewed him earlier in the week and he really liked him, which is why he kicked him over to me. So anyway, we'll see. Okay. We'll see. Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck with that. I know that process well. Is your EA joining us?
Mary, were you able to connect with Emily? I didn't talk to her this morning.
Yeah, I did. And she said, I told her that we were going to meet, and I'm actually asking if we could also meet, but she said that she's kind of busy.
Okay. All right. So she may have already been booked today. I wasn't sure. Okay. Well, we're recording this, so we can always get her the recording and make sure. Yeah. And I'll talk with her on Monday anyway. So.
Okay. Well, you guys have unofficially met. Dean, this is Mary. Mary, this is Dean. And you just said it and it went right out of my mind. What's your EA's name?
Emily.
Emily, hello for when you listen to this recording as well. This is Mary, Emily. So since we last met, Mary spent a little time and kind of pulled some things together just in terms of all the different aspects of what we need to consider, right? And we're also hoping that within this, and obviously Emily can add her opinion in, and then we can get the list of what needs to get done to get the show up, running, and out the door, and then divide and conquer the work. And so, Mary, I turn it over to you now. Dean, I will say, I think, at least for me, this is Mary's first time doing a presentation in front of anybody else. So she is super nervous.
You don't have to be nervous, Mary. It's all good. We are all friends here, so don't even worry.
Yeah, nervous and adding the cold. I'm very cold here. I can't lower the aircon limit. I'm shivering. Yeah, that's the one. So, can you see the slide?
Yep, I can see your slides.
Okay, let's check out. Oh, there. Okay. So yeah, I pulled some yeah, so again, hi to Emily. Yeah, so these are the things that I pulled off from my research that we're going to actually this is some short list of what I've done, some research on what happened there. So first is the branding setup, and then the content planning setup, and also publishing and tech setup. So first in our branding setup, we're going to choose a show name, which we already have a tentative name, and build show character diamond, and write a compelling podcast description, and then create a podcast outward. So for the description, for the tentative name, we already have one, and how can I lower you and lower you to that? So I have actually produced three different descriptions that we can use for our podcast, which is this one is the first one. And let me know if you're done so I can move it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
And let me just hop in, Mary. Sorry, Atiba.
You first.
Anytime
Dean.
we've got copy requirements, my daughter's a marketing copywriter. That's a full-time day gig, and she's my kid, but I will say she's really, really good. So I'm happy to take on some of those responsibilities. Like if we want to rework these descriptions, we've got a great resource there.
Yeah, that would be
Fantastic.
great. Yeah.
And I was going to say, Dean, I actually haven't read these descriptions yet myself. So we're
Okay,
reading
cool.
first time together.
Perfect.
But yes, so definitely let's let her use those. And I think once we have the character diamond kind of fleshed out, that would also inform quite a bit of this too.
Yeah, exactly. Target audience, all of those things. We can get that figured out. Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, good.
Next one. Yeah, there's the second one. There. Let me know if you're done.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think, Atiba, one of the things that you and I think probably need to continue to flush out is, what is the focus, right? There's a lot of references to digital marketing and latest cutting edge, and I think that's really important. But I think we could be a lot more holistic in
Yes.
kind of what we focus on, and even weaving in the concept of sales too, because there's this blurred line, right? You and I have talked about this, the buyer's journey. Sales is a part of that journey. So maybe we can tweak that as well if you think that will work.
No, absolutely.
Cool.
And again, that's part of this whole thing is let's get to tweaking.
Yep.
Okay. So yes, the podcast format is how long should the podcast episodes be? It's actually from the meeting you had before. You mentioned that it would be a 15 minutes per episode, and then how often should we publish it? It's gonna be a once a week. And the wrap up post, I actually it's not that I'm sorry about what happened to you there. The wrap up post that you mentioned before. So I think it's good that we have a one recap video and teaser combined, which is gonna be it's like a a recap, and then after that part we're gonna tease them for the next episode. So
Yep.
that's what I think. Which will be posted before the new episode. And one challenge content to post 24 hours before the release, and then one feedback content to post 1 hour. Actually, not sure about that yet, but tentatively 1 hour after the release of the new post episode. Yes.
Okay.
And where we can promote it, these are the lists I have: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Actually, YouTube, and not sure about the email, but yes, email. I added it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. And here's the sample. Just doodling. Sample doodling that I created. But that's just a sample.
Yeah.
And and here's the content planning. So this is only a sample for the content intro and outro, but I just want to be clear about this one. Is it a pre-recorded or a self-recorded intro outro?
I think it's probably too early to decide that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably too early. It's an
Okay.
important question, but we're not quite there yet. That's the plane almost about to touch down, Mary. Then we need to come
Oh,
back up to 20,000
yeah.
feet or so.
Mhm.
So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's the plan and the organizing the content. So how often should we meet for the recording? As the meeting before from the meeting, it's a once a month and 1.5 hours per recording, 30 minutes for planning and 1 hour for recording. And the content of each meetings will be the 4 episodes that will tackle a core idea, and then it's just an idea that it will be a 4 seconds teaser videos for the next lineup from the episodes we have. So it makes sense to have a 4 teaser videos, right?
Right.
And content per episodes. So we mentioned before that me and Emily will send a list of at least 5 to 6 core ideas to be the main topic of each 15 episodes. So that's the core content. And then recording.
So
we
that
will
also, hold on a second. So that also puts the content ideation on you and Emily then, and leaves the core topic definition to me and Dean, an ideation on y'all. Obviously, Dean and I can have input on topic ideation, but that y'all would go out and research 4 to 6 topics every month. Or 5 to 6 topics every month. That's what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we provide directionally kind of give them the point to shoot at, right? And then we'll come back, refine those, and pull out the actual talking points. So that's part of the logistics too. If we're trying to stay a month of recording ahead, you and I are going to have to either meet or do some, Google Doc, whatever, to sort of build out the actual talking points once we have the actual core ideas defined.
So I don't know how you and Emily work, but I can tell you how Mary and I work with something like that. So for example, there is Authority Magazine asked for me to do an interview, and it's one of those written interviews, and they've got their prompts and you got to go through and fill it all out, right?
Yep.
I looked at them. Mary actually did some background research on a couple of them to find some statistics and stuff, put it in a Google Doc for me, and then bugged me for a few days straight after she put it on my calendar to go in and write my responses. I wrote the responses, she came in and cleaned it up, and now she's back to bugging me again because it's finalize. So I don't know if you and Emily work similarly, and that may be the thing there of the two of them create the document that each of us have to come in and put our 2 cents in, and make sure that they get behind us to put our 2 cents in, versus the two of us having to actually have a physical conversation.
Yep. That's totally fine. I think there's a benefit to that conversation because I think it creates fresh ideas versus thinking about something in a vacuum. And I've used a few. Loom is a really easy tool to use, right? To just kind of quick, or even what is this called? There's I introduced you to Tom Ruich, and Tom and I have been using a tool called, it's an app. I don't remember what it's called now, but where you basically do video chat back and forth in little snippet recordings.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. And that's been really helpful because Marco Polo is what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
And so we ideate with the 5 and 25 podcasts that we do together, and it just kind of gets the juices flowing. Sometimes we don't need it. Other times it's really good to have that back and forth. So I think you and I can figure that out. But ultimately, when we land on it, we get it to Mary and Emily to build out.
That's fine too. Yeah, I'm open to all ideas.
Okay.
How we make this work.
Cool.
So, and people keep telling me about Marco Polo, and I've not touched it. So maybe you'll be my reason.
It's kind of it's certainly easy to use. I mean, man, so it's something we can consider using.
Yeah.
All right. So that, I think that process makes sense. As long as once we're clear on the core topics, you and I flush out the talking points, we get it to the ladies to do their thing.
Yep.
And if we want, we're obviously going to have, well, I say obviously, I'm assuming we want to have a description for each episode as well.
Yeah. And obviously the question becomes, is that written before or after? I prefer after, to see where we actually land.
Yep.
When it's all said and done.
Yeah. More of a show notes description kind of a thing, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Now for something like that, I wouldn't necessarily want to burden your daughter with that, because I'm sure she's got other work to do, but that's up to you too, whether that's, you know, because it's on the content side, whether she should be involved there or not. That's
we can figure it out. I'm sure. I mean, she could certainly listen to the 15 minutes and grab the snippets, or grab a transcript, a transcription of it, or whatever, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Okay. Great. Okay. For the recording and editing plan, so we always do this, that if after the recording we have to upload it in a folder, all the raw videos, and then after that we will inform the production team to start editing. So once the recording is uploaded and they're gonna start editing, we need to have a timeline, so that so that we have at least we know when it should be done before we post it. So we need a timeline for that one.
Yeah, and that would be easy to come up with once we figure out the first set, and probably for the first 2 months do 6 instead of 4, and get a month ahead going into month 3. Then things become a lot easier and a lot more scheduled. I mean, heck, we end up missing a week, or one recording messes up, we've got backups.
We're good. Yeah.
Yes.
And about the splintering of the episode, so that we have something we can post, I figured we can have at least 2, since two in each episode, since we post once a week. So I think it's ideal for the 2 splintered videos only, not much, but yeah.
Well, at the rate that Dean drops just dimes of information, we'll probably end up with a lot more than 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be dependent on the actual episode and how we back and forth. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it could be a lot more, and all the video editing stuff we'll handle. Right? I mean, we got the team structured. We'll take care of all of that. Right, and then get you back all of the assets that you can post as well. And
Great.
Okay. All right, what's next? Is there more, Mary, or is that?
Yes, these are the sample core ideas that that I found. Great.
Okay, so let's so the first 4 really are just one, and so that's just talking about AI. That's all one there.
And the 5, 6, and 7 are all that collaborating versus selling topic too.
Yeah.
And what we may recycle some of these topics. You know, AI is such a big topic. We may focus on one aspect of AI.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, and that's in all of these, right? And that's where the ideation starts to come from of where do we go? The one thing that's going to be interesting about us doing this on a pre-recorded and then published is we have to make this stand that, you know, we're not going to be trendy. In other words, Bard was just released. Well, we're not going to be talking about it for 2 months.
Right.
Right. But I also think that plays when we start looking at our character diamond. I think that somewhat plays well for us as well, because between you and I, we're all about principles, not about tactics.
Yep.
And so my opinion is not being super up to date. This is the hottest, latest thing isn't the worst.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there are many tried and true principles that still apply. The how we apply may change because of our tools and technology. And it's almost people expect, you know, marketing related podcasts to be talking about AI. They expect it, right? And when you're talking about something that's maybe related, but yet something you can do today, I think it's important. You know, one of the things I'm talking more about this year because of AI is this concept of human to human, right? And all that doesn't go old. That doesn't get old. Doesn't get stale. You can actually use that as a counterpoint to some of the other trendy things that are happening right now. So I'm with you. I think, you know, it's going to make, you know, all of the AI type related topics aren't going away. We're going to learn more about Bard in the coming weeks anyway. So we will speak to it when we know
when
more.
it comes, when it's real. Yeah, and so human to human needs to be on here on that connection going.
I mean, buyer's journey, right? We've got to have,
yes,
that's going to be a foundational thing that we speak about.
Yes, buyer's journey. And I mean, we can cover all the different stages of the buyer's journey: sales, human to human. You know, I like my direct mail conversation. But before we get there, before we go too far into content, let's take a step back up, right? And talk about audience and define really who are we talking to first. So are we talking to marketers or are we talking to non-marketers?
That's a good question. I actually think it may be a combined audience, honestly, because I think that a lot of my typical ICP are SMB business owners, right? Execs. Some of those are marketing leaders, some are the C-suite, whatever. So I think there's a big interest there. If we think about why, maybe another step up in conversation is, why are we doing this?
Okay, let's go there.
So if we're doing this for an opportunity to expand the reach of our brands, demonstrate expertise, all of those things, then, you know, it certainly should be part of our own marketing lead gen, you know, mix.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, for your business, are you selling to marketers, either agencies or in-house, or do you tend to sell to the owner, leader, executive?
So I sell to brands that communicate a message. Okay. And so there, because of the size that we target, it's usually the owner of the brand that we end up talking to.
Yep. Because
oftentimes by the time they have a head of marketing, they are trying to bring it in-house. They're not big enough. So there's that funny area, as you know. So under 1 million, they're trying to do everything on their own as cheaply as possible, right? 1 to 2 million, they're starting to figure out, okay, I can't do stuff. 2 to 4, 5 million-ish is where they're like, okay, I need help. I need a professional. and to outsource it some, right? Over 5 million, then they get the head of marketing coming in, and they try to bring everything in-house until they realize we don't want it all in-house, somewhere around the 10 million mark, and then they start hiring agencies.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. And then the head of marketing is just managing a bunch of agencies. Right. So for me, we love the people in that 2 to 5 million range. So just before they hire that head of marketing. So we're not looking for the internal marketer just yet.
Right. Yeah. I think that that's a core of what we do too, right? There are sometimes they've already hired the internal person. Sometimes they haven't, whatever, right? Sometimes they've already engaged with a bunch of agencies. It's what they've figured out is that I need help, or we need help. So I think that's an important distinction to selling to marketers, internal or external. I think that group will be interested in this content, but they're not necessarily, by the sounds of it, our target audience. And so with that, we need to layer in this concept of all of this stuff that is cool, fancy, exciting, but how does it help you and your business?
Right.
Right. Because I think we can get lost. One can get lost in the new toys. So maybe that's our foundational message back to, this is about business growth and supporting that vision. So I think that makes a ton of sense. And that's a lot of my audience already. And I'm sure it is yours too.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that. Totally good with that.
Okay. So we're saying, I literally took your statement. It's cool and fancy, but how does it help you grow your business?
Yeah.
Right. All right.
AI is a good example. I think that a lot of us type folks are playing around with AI, but how many business owners are? Probably none. Like very, very few are trying to figure out how to use Chat GPT to move the business forward. That's just not where they're focused right now. And we have to bridge that gap, I think, in some cases for them.
Yeah. And bridge that gap. So bridging the gap hits on several different fronts then, because they're the people who are going to be terrified of something new. Then they're the absolute early adopters. Right. Do you know Kevin Barber?
Mm-mm.
He owns one of the top 5 HubSpot agencies in the world. Okay. And I was just with Kevin, and I did a presentation this week on AI, and he was in the audience, and he's the last person I would have expected to say this, especially given the size of his organization. He's like, yeah, so we're building this AI app right now.
Wow.
I was just like, really? But he's that super early adopter who doesn't fit the mold.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm thinking, I'm processing. So we're helping you figure out where the tactics of the world fit within the principles of your business and the principles of sales and marketing. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay.
And if we can connect that with how that rolls up into the business growth strategy, right? And that concept of strategy, I think, is often overused but underutilized. Overused in terms of the term, but underutilized in terms of business. Growth strategy isn't just about driving revenue, right? It's about scaling the organization and all these other things that go along with it. But that's the common thread of successful businesses is they have a clear growth strategy, then the principles, the tactics, the tools, the team, the systems all fall in alignment. I don't go down a rabbit hole with this, but I think that's missing in many cases. We just keep throwing new stuff at the problem without clearly defining what the problem is and how we're going to solve it. So,
yep. Hold on, I got something for you. Hold on. Mary, can I share screen, please?
Sure.
So this is not complete. Dean. Let's see, come on. My computer has been crawling today. It's almost like it was upset that I went away.
you abandoned it for a few days?
Yeah, and it's just like, I just don't want to move today. I had a sales call earlier and it just completely froze in the middle of the call.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the worst. Okay, y'all can see this?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is this starting to make sense? Growth strategies in the middle, tactics, sales and marketing principles. If so, what's the third? Or is growth strategy on the outside and something else in the middle?
And that's, yeah, you kind of read my mind. What I was thinking is growth strategy is the third leg of the stool, but in the middle is vision.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's look at that. Does this work? Nope. I just stopped sharing screen. Why? Come on. What? Okay, guess my computer's upset. Hold on, let me see if I can get this to come back and yeah. I can tell you my 10th grade teacher is very upset with me right now because I'm drawing like a Venn diagram and this is not not going well. Okay. But hopefully I can get this back up here shortly. Bear with me, guys.
No, you're good. Take your time.
Mhm.
Come on. Can you update? Will you update? Of course, it doesn't want to update now. So what I was starting to get to was a bit of a Venn diagram that had the three of them as circles.
Yep.
With the overlap, obviously targeted in the middle, but is there a reality or vision? Well, no, then vision isn't in the middle. Yeah, that doesn't make sense then. That doesn't make sense then. All right. So let's go back to the original triangle, because I didn't get that to work the way I wanted it to in my brain.
That's all right. I think about the 4 pillars of growth, and we sometimes blend marketing and sales together, whether that's one or whether that's two. They're a piece of it. The strategy is the third, and then systems is in my mind is the fourth. Now, how much of this we're going to talk about specifically, I don't know, but those to me are like the 4 elements of the growth roadmap, or whatever you want to call it, like marketing and sales, systems, and strategy.
Okay.
Not in that order, obviously, but I guess and maybe that's the 4 circles on a Venn diagram, whether we combine sales and marketing or not. But all of that has to align with something. And
Right.
that's the owner's vision for the business. Is it a grow it, sell it, move on? Is it build something to hand off to the kids? Is it an income-driven business? Is it we're going to franchise this thing? That's part of this sort of vision. What is the impact we're going to have? Why are we doing this, right? Maybe back to Simon Sinek's The Golden Circle kind of thing, the big why.
Yep.
That's all the inside the circle, right? Inside the Venn diagram or the triangle or the square or whatever it is. Because all of that drives the specifics of strategy, revenue generation, and systems to scale. Sort of like that's how my brain thinks about sort of building a business.
So how much of vision do we want to, or do we link everything back to vision? So no matter what we talk about, it comes back to vision.
Yeah.
As an anchoring kind of.
Yeah. How sexy and attractive is vision versus business growth? How maybe business growth is oversold? I don't know,
Well, we're not selling on the outside vision, but we are going to be, quote unquote, selling the reality. Let me give you an example of from our business where we are and some of the things that we're going through right now, right? Is, okay, you develop this high ticket product, right? And it's a done for you service. Great. Actually, let's take it to a real story. So in sales meeting I had just a little while ago, okay, went through everything. He actually saw me on a podcast, et cetera, got on the calendar, loved everything we had to say. We get down to the end and we're talking about price, and obviously, the price comes in here. He was expecting here, right? And I said to him, okay, well, the reality is we do have a half service, which actually comes in slightly above where you want it to be. Does that kind of work for you, right? Well, in his case, he was like, yeah, let's continue talking about that. That's more in the range of what I was expecting. Okay, fine. If it didn't, then we traditionally had been in a place where it was, well, nice to know you. End the conversation. You can't.
Bye-bye, right?
Right. Whereas now AI has given us the ability to say, okay, there is an app that we can develop that we can actually sell you on an MRR where you can, if he knows he has to do this. And I proved to him, you're in an industry that's getting on one keyword that you're interested in, 33,000 searches per month. And there isn't a single good quality video out there. Like, it's wide open for you.
Totally.
On one keyword alone. Right? And so he gets all of that. And so if he decides he wants to go DIY it, well, hey, in terms of our vision for what we're trying to create, of helping thought leaders like him become recognized as experts, then it makes sense for us to create that app where he can go out and do it himself.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If our job was helping you get more our vision was helping you grow massive YouTube channels, then it doesn't make sense to define that AI because it's not going to help you do that.
Yep.
And so that's where I think when we talk about vision, it doesn't have to be the unsexy vision, but it can be, hey, you're doing this. How does this fit to your strategy, which links back to your vision from, as you said.
Yep. That makes a ton of sense. That's our why. That's our roadmap, our North Star, all of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. And it keeps you pulling, right? And it keeps us reminding them that that's what's important. Because at the end of the day, our entire point is you need to get back to true principles, not tactics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay. So, and of course, this one still won't share screen for me. Just being an absolute jerk.
I'm Zoom saying that you're sharing screen, but it's not. It's you. So I don't know if you have to unshare and reshare or something.
Is it really?
Yeah. It says you are currently viewing Atiba's screen.
But you're not.
Nope.
Can you see my screen now?
All right. Now it's trying to reshare. I can see all your pages.
Okay. Now it says, now it should be gone.
Now it's gone.
So I wonder if that had something to do with it. I don't know. We can try this again. So that means everything. So if we talk about a tactic has to either, well, does it have to hit all sides of the triangle is the question. Does every episode need to hit all sides of the triangle? Because if we talk about a tactic, well, is it a sales and marketing tactic? Well, then we're talking about sales and marketing principles, which then leads back to what your growth strategy was, which is then points you back to your vision. Or can we logically think through this where tactics go to growth strategies to vision, or tactics to SAM principles to vision?
I think the latter, right? It's got to connect to one of those that connect back to vision.
Okay. So Mary, what you're hearing here, and Emily, what you're hearing here is, as we define the topics and whatever document or however we're collaborating back and forth, in there we have to determine, okay, is this a tactic, a principle, a growth strategy, and then how does it link back to vision? Right? And so it probably just needs to have each one of those sections, and we can write in, okay, so well, this to that. And so we can weave that thread.
Well, that creates a structure for flushing out these topics and the content. I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense, Mary?
Yeah.
I know Emily agrees. Emily's all over this. Right, Emily? We good.
Emily's in. She's ready to go.
Okay.
And I will also say maybe some of these topics don't have to be just tactical. They can, they should be strategic also, right? I think we mix in both of those, or even, this concept of vision. So how do you create a clear vision, or what does that mean? We can pick topics at any level of that hierarchy.
Yes.
Because they all tie.
Yes. We absolutely don't have to start tactical. They can be anywhere on there and tie back.
Yep.
I totally agree. Okay. All right, good. Well, since the big thing that we owe our ladies is the content pillars. So getting back into that, we've got buyer's journey, which obviously is strategy, sales, human to human. Direct mail isn't huge, but it's.
Yeah, I think with direct mail, we can even, if we want to expand that, we could talk about, direct marketing as a category and a subset of that is direct mail, right? So we've got a
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic point. Absolutely fantastic point. Yeah, leave this here. All right. What other topics from that higher level?
The alignment around sales and marketing alignment.
So we want to do sales separate and sales and marketing alignment separate?
Yeah. I think those are related but different topics. What about this, Atiba? There's this general, we're keeping the audience in mind.
Yes.
There's a general confusion and overwhelm around what marketing tactics should I use? What's going to work for me?
So I was thinking about that at this exact same time in a different direction of organic versus paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe there's even two layers to that. There's the bigger what tactics, and then, all right, as we think about it, organic versus paid, and what does that mean? I mean, even the online, offline, trade shows, are they even a thing anymore? Do they work? And how do you, I think there's just a big confusion around all of that. That could be a lot. That we could create some great content around that.
Yeah. And it's, hold on, online versus, and it gets back to strategy and vision. Okay. Heck, another V word that kind of creeps in there a bit is value. So for me, the online versus offline, I sell from stage.
Yeah. That totally gets me thinking about Phil Paolucci and what he talks about. All right, being the owner, CEO, being that not just the face of the organization, but as a recognized expert.
Right.
Now, what do? We get the CEO on stage. Do we have the mechanism to convert that into revenue and funnel and revenue? That's really, that's another one.
Which gets back to buyer's journey.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it does. ICP, right? Defining ICP, and what does that all mean, right?
Yeah, because you're getting go ahead.
Messaging, right? What are you going to say? What should your messaging be focused on? Is it all how-to content? No. It's educational, it's inspirational, it's all, it's going against the doctrine of your industry to think differently. There's a lot we could talk about just in terms of where you focus your messaging and how you mix the types of messaging.
Yeah. Yes. And breaking that down even into, the know-how, the why, how, what versus or the know, like, trust as it relates to the buyer's journey and getting people to really understand there. Yeah. And of course, all the video,
video is a category that's huge. Obviously, it's your world. I think we've got a lot of opportunity to talk about that as well. how, what, why, when, where. What are the connection points with your audience that video leverages, right? Meet them where they're at, kind of thing.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Tech stack.
Ooh, how did we miss that one?
To the confusion. That's another source of confusion.
And within tech stack, there's so many ways to go with tech stack.
Right.
So directly before our call, I was interviewing a Go high level expert to help finish our migration from Active Campaign to Go high level. Right. So it's not just choosing the migration, the management, the usage, the lack of usage,
the
over usage.
Yeah. And then all the connections to the other external sources, integrations. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Implementation is so important. Yep. Yep.
And actually in that there's, and I'm not going to say I know a ton about this, and I don't know if you do, but there's this whole new world of integrators, of SaaS integrators that exist that are building integrations between apps that are automated, where they're doing data scraping. So they're not even going through the app, and it's data to data, system to system movement of information, right? Then there's this new AI tool that I just learned about that you can tell it, create a record from my email to Salesforce for Dean, and add a follow-up for Dean for 3 weeks to talk about this topic, and let Mary know that XYZ. And AI goes into your email, finds Dean all the relevant information, then goes open Salesforce, creates the record, does all of that for you.
It's pretty cool. I'm going through a HubSpot CRM implementation with a client right now, and there's some quite right out of the box, but there's some amazing stuff. All that you just described. Go to Zoom info, pull data there. Go to LinkedIn, pull data there. Create a record and some activities, and yeah, it's pretty cool. There's some amazing things happening.
Yeah. Those will be great conversations as well when we start looking at even if we want to go this far, the role of team in buying your time back, and the role of tools in buying your team's time back.
That's that whole principle of systems that I talked about earlier, right? Systems of people, tools, processes, all of that. That's probably one of the biggest limiters of growth that I see in small businesses that are trying to grow. It's that whole, 1 to 5 million, everybody's trying to do everything. It's killer. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot of good stuff there too. Investing in systems that will scale with you. You may not need all the AI stuff today, but at a certain point in your journey, you're going to need to turn those things on and enable that next level of scale, perhaps, whatever it is, right?
Yes. That's a whole nother side of the conversation about investment.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because you decide, I don't need all those tools, and that's $129 a month. I need this much, and it's $49 a month on this other tool. And so you stay with the $49 a month. I mean, that's what we're going through right now with Active Campaign. I knew, and I made this mistake, I knew we would outgrow Active Campaign, right? But I wasn't ready for, or I didn't think I should have been ready for Go high level. But now I'm stuck, and it's costing me more than all of the months that we spent in the difference on Go high level. I mean, on Active Campaign.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's such a common scenario, right? well, you make it do as long as you can, and then the cost to move is so expensive because it's just more to move, more to integrate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. So that definitely fits into that pillar of systems, people, tools kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Okay. Mary, I think and Emily, I think we've given y'all a lot.
For sure.
We will leave it to the two of you to distill and bring this back to us in some usable fashion, and then we probably will give you this much more. Again.
We've just begun.
It is just the beginning.
But I think this is why this can be a really rich conversation and really rich time together, right? The last piece, which I've got to find some time for, and you and I probably could go back and forth on Marco Polo about, is the concept of the character diamond that I introduced the last time, and looking at, what are our actual values and how does this all stack up so that we're making sure we're not just two guys who are saying yes all day to each other. Yeah. And then,
that's a great idea, right?
Another good one by Dean, right? And not that we have to disagree, but just that we understand the concept of the opposing sides that we're trying to, even if it's not our side, but that our audience may have, and so that we can present that other side
right
on their behalf.
Yeah, I think we kicked that around last time, and I think that having that opposing, even if it's a rhetorical rebuttal, right? Like, what if this was a situation? How would you, or how does this? I think it just creates a little more depth to the conversation.
Exactly. That's what we're looking for.
Cool. Very good. All right. Well, when you get the recording, obviously shoot it over. Emily and I will meet on Monday, and we'll be talking about this anyway. And then we'll need to kind of set up next steps from that point on.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping is the ladies will listen to this and they can talk next and pull together this content list. I think you did have a slide and we didn't get to it.
Yeah. Which platform are we gonna use?
Yeah. What platform do you use to host your podcasts?
Well, most of what we're doing is just on Zoom, recording Zoom.
Right, but then where do you publish them?
I'm actually not publishing anything on a podcast platform right now.
Okay.
So I'm open to whatever you recommend.
So we use Captivate, and we have unlimited podcasts. So there's the answer. Free it's for me, and I'll take 2.
Captivate.
Cool. Yeah, I'm down.
Okay. Awesome. We'll wait for the ladies, and then we'll schedule again, and we'll go again.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be fun, guys.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. Have a good weekend, everyone. Take care. See ya.
Weekend.
Nice to meet you, Mary. Take care.
Yes, nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.